we need to set up a workspace now. Basically, there's an environment variable called GoPath, and it points to your workspace. This is important because when you're downloading packages using go-get on the command line, you need a place where those files, those packages you're downloading, are going to go to. So we're going to call that place, we're going to call it my_GoPath, just so that it's really easy to associate this folder with the environment variable that we're about to set up. You can name it whatever you want, but if you're following along with this tutorial, you might just want to do it exactly, add your own flavor to it after you get everything up and working. Don't introduce any unnecessary complications as you're following along. So variable name, GoPath, and we're going to point to that folder that we just made. All right. All right, so now we're going to need to get Go SFML, all right? That's the library that we are interested in using for Go, right? It's the SFML bindings for GoLang, basically. So we're going to go look at the downloads. We're going to look at the bindings, because we don't want the source, because we're going to use it with a different language besides C++. So here we go. It's misleading with the 2.0. We're actually going to be downloading, well, just trust me, that 2.0 is very misleading. That's why I did a tutorial. So here's the command we need. So we're going to just copy that to the clipboard. This documentation is very sparse, hence why I'm doing a tutorial. So looks like I didn't quite get that. And when you're in the command line, you need to right-click to paste, because Control-C is used to halt processes in the command line. Did I say Control-C? Not sure what Control-V is used for. Control-C is used to halt processes. Control-V is also used for something else. But basically, you can't use your standard clipboard shortcuts when you're in the command prompt. So no feedback's happening here, but pretty sure it's executing. That's kind of annoying. I've noticed some differences between the command line and then git bash. I've used both. So checking here, I see the source. Okay, so all this stuff is what I expect to see after I use that command. So it looks like everything's there. Okay, so for whatever reason it's trying to compile. We're going to actually download the compiler next. Not sure why it wants to compile, right? We just wanted to fetch the libraries, but okay, whatever. So next thing we need to do is we need to get the GCC compiler and, set all the environment variables up for that so that we can get it active on the command line. For that, there is a special piece of software I use to set up the compiler on Windows. It works pretty well. As far as I know, it doesn't have any spyware or viruses in it. SourceForge is a pretty reputable place to go. Not saying that you can't get horrible software on SourceForge, because, I definitely have ran into things on SourceForge that just, load up my Chrome with a whole bunch of toolbars, and it's horrible. But this right here, this is great. We're gonna put it in the same thumb drive that we've been setting everything else up on, right? This is basically our clean thumb drive for this installation, just so I can isolate all the pieces in one nice spot for everybody. We're going to call it GCC compiler. Actually, you know what? Not set up. We'll just call it GCC compiler. Usually when I'm downloading software, I like to keep a copy of the installer along with the installation. So hence why I'm making a folder for the installer. And then I'll also create an installation directory folder. I just call it idir for installation directory. So I'm going to put the installer there, and then when I install, I'm going to install to the i_dir. I'm sure that's a little bit of a strange convention, but it works for me. I download a lot of software. I've set up a lot of environments. This works for me. You know, do whatever you want, but that's just what works for me. So we want to create a new installation of the compiler, and we're going to get the 64-bit. If you mix and match 64-bit libraries with like a 32-bit compiler, or you know, a 64-bit compiler with 32-bit libraries, you're going to get weird stuff happening. So don't. Well, I mean, yeah, just don't do it. If you do accidentally mix and match 32 bits with 64 bits, some of the errors you're going to get are, well, specifically in this tutorial, when I was, you know, making mistakes trying to set this up earlier, like the first time I did it, I had, I think I downloaded 32-bit C-SFML, but I had the 64-bit compiler, and I was getting an error complaining about not being able to cast a size type enumeration to some other type, which makes total sense because on different architectures, the size type is a different number of bits. So things aren't going to match up if you're trying to jump from one architecture to another, because you have, you know, a 32-bit library but a 64-bit compiler. So this installation is going to take a while. Sorry I didn't edit it out. It's just, you know, I want to get on to other things. I don't want to spend too much time editing. Sorry about that, but hey, this is better than nothing. You know, you're going to get this done faster than I got it done. So you're welcome. Once again, this documentation is a little bit sparse, but it is good to read what is there. Those are some important notes to keep track of. So also, instead of using the go get command on the command line, you could also use git bash. I'm trying to find the link right now. It's somewhere in here, but these icons are collapsed. Oh, I almost saw it. It's over. Oh, there we go. So this clone link right here, if you hit that, it'll pop up with the command for git. So if you want to open up git bash, you could use this instead of the go get command. I don't know if those two different methods for retrieving the library are in sync with each other. For example, I don't know if fetching the library using Go is going to get you a more updated version than fetching with Git. I don't know. If anyone knows, that'd be great to let me know. Maybe do like do it both ways and then do a diff on the directories for me or something. So anyways, we need to add some path variables. Actually, we don't need to add it. It's going to be automatically added once the setup for the compiler is done, so it's not done setting up yet. But we're going to check on our environment variables again after this is done setting up, because it should be automatically adding a path variable for the compiler so that we can get access to the compiler on the command line. Also, as a good rule of thumb, when you are setting up environments, making sure that all your different tools that need to work together are accessible on the command line. before you like troubleshoot further, right? Because a lot of scripts and code are going to be trying to access the command line. If they try to access things on the command line that aren't available, problems, right? It's things aren't going to work if the tools that need to talk to each other can't do it through the command line. As a general, it's just a general troubleshooting step, download everything you need, get it set up on the command line, confirm that it's working on the command line, and then kind of go from there. Alright, so now we're going to check our environment variables. So now, looking for the path, and there should be a new one at the bottom. Yep, so that is where the compiler executable is. So awesome. So if we open up a command line, we should have access to the compiler now. So we're just going to type gcc. Alright. It's recognizing GCC, so that's good. We didn't supply anything to compile, that's why it gave us an error, but that's fine. Check the version. Alright, yeah, everything looks good. Looks like our compiler is set up. Awesome. So, let's see, we got our compiler set up. What else do we need to do? Oh, we need to refetch the library, the Go SFML library. So now that we have the compiler, this time when we fetch, the compiler error shouldn't be coming up. So we're just going to do that go get again and then, see what happens. Alright, so that's a problem. That include that it's looking for is actually an include for a library we have not downloaded yet. That's actually the C-SFML library that include is referencing. So basically, you download Go SFML, which references C-SFML. And C-SFML is the C bindings for the SFML library, which is kind of confusing. Basically, the way Go SFML works is it uses some C code